Hello, everyone. Today, I will share with you my presentation, which is how to start a digital customer success management strategy. A bit of overview regarding our presentation today. First, who am I? Then, definition of object and objective of digital CSM. And finally, where to get started. So first, who am I? So for those of you who did not recognize my terrible accent yet, I'm French. So my name is Elisabeth Courland. I've been a customer success manager for 6 years and I love my job. I love my job so much that I've started different side projects next to my job as Talentsoft, which are, for those who do not know it, Open Book of Customer Success. You can check it at openbookofcustomersuccess.com, which is the resource of CSM resources. And recently, I've also started a new website, which is called the Digital CSM.com. And I think you can guess what it is about. Let's get started. So definition and objective, what is digital CSM? You may have heard about digital CSM. You may also have heard about CSM at scale, CSM low touch, CSM tech touch, a lot of different names to basically say the same thing, how to industrialize the relationship with our customer, or at least some of the communication with our customers. So the definition is providing at scale the same level of service as one-to-one approach as a one-to-many approach. So let's say, for instance, that your customer success manager do not add any added value during the onboarding, which is quite rare, but it can exist, or they do not provide any value when it comes to promoting an event because everything is already said in another communication. Then it may be a good time for you to start a digital CSM strategy. When it is the right time to get started? So basically, whenever you have customer with similar pattern that you can address at the same time, it is the right time to start a digital CSM strategy. And actually, it can differ on different way. You can industrialize onboarding, re-onboarding, adoption, change management, QBR, safe plan, everything that is in your customer success journey. You can industrialize that, so digitalize that as soon as it makes sense and as soon as you bring the same added value to your customers that you would do in high touch. What are the objectives? So the objectives of a digital customer success manager are to keep customer engaged. So obviously you will need to make your customers understand what is the value of your company. Why did they buy the product? Remind them what is the added value. Remind them that they still can get the most out of your product thanks to your help. So you need to provide a lot of added value in any point of contact that you can make with your customer. And the objective is obviously to keep your customer engaged. The other objective is obviously to prevent churn. So you may find some tricks in your digital CSM strategy that will enable you to prevent churn. So you can look for usage, you can look for engagement, you can look for a bad adoption of your product. And the objective would be to start a strategy like email communication, maybe webinars, anything that can be industrialized so that can occur or that can speak to a lot of people, not just one, in order to prevent that churn. It is also very important to know, and that it can be underlined during this prevention part, that digital CSM is not only industrialization. You can still get in touch with your customer humanly, but our job as digital CSM is to industrialize as much as possible. Obviously, when the relationship becomes sensitive and when your customer needs at some point to get in touch with someone human in your team, look at that, put yourself in the customer shoes, and please contact your customers directly. And finally, the objective of digital CSM, but just like high-touch customer success managers, is to create ambassadors, decrease the number of detractors, and so on. Where to get started? So when it comes to starting a digital CSM strategy, you need to understand first what is expected from you. So why have you been hired? Analyze your playground. What can you play with? What can you activate? What can you not touch? Then I will try to share with you some of my experience. And finally, if you just have 3 things to retain out of this webinar, it will be at the end of this presentation. So first, understand what is expected from you. Whenever you've been hired as the first digital CSM, it's possible that either your management knows exactly what are the challenges and know exactly what they expect from you, but it can also be the other way around. So they've hired you because they are looking for answers and way to do so and have no idea how to do so. So obviously the first step would be ask your manager, ask the person who hired you, why did you hire me? Where are your challenges right now? What are you expecting in terms of impact? What are the KPIs to monitor? So don't ask this question if your manager does not have the answer or it's obvious that they have no clue where to get started. But sometimes it can be interesting to discuss that with your manager, challenge the numbers, what maybe exists in terms of high-touch customer success and what can be replicated. Review job description and create priorities. So as you know, CSM job is full of surprise. You start with the onboarding and then you discover that there is sub stuff in the onboarding process, and then you go in the adoption phase or the engagement phase, and that there is 1,000 things to explore when it comes to each phase of the customer journey. My advice is look and approve with your manager, agree with your manager, what are the priorities? What do you need to focus on first? In my case, for instance, I've been informed I was expected on the onboarding part. So my manager and my company wanted me to create a digital plan for onboarding phase. Ask where are the fires? So basically, where are the gaps? Where are the holes in the strategy? Where do you need to act? For instance, your manager can tell you after 6 months, people just stop using our product, or we don't know anything about our customers. There is a lot of people churning and we don't know why. So basically, it's really simple. Ask questions. Where are the fires? Why did you hire me? Ask questions. Don't be afraid to be naive. Audit your segmentation. So you may have your job may include to digitalize the entire customer base, so the full customer, your entire portfolio, the entire portfolio of your company. But you can also be asked to take care of only a specific part of your customers, of your customer base. And in that case, it means that a segmentation will already have been done. And obviously, challenge it. Ask why. Ask what are the decisions. Why did the manager decided to take this decision rather than another? Ask question, challenge, don't be afraid. And as I said, nothing is granted, it can change. Understand what has been done before, what has been successful, and what has failed. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. You don't want to try something for a year, and then after a year, here your colleagues said, hey, we've been trying this for years. We know it doesn't work. Ask questions so you can make sure you won't be disappointed. Then analyze your playground. Who can you work with? Who will be your sponsors? What kind of department can you collaborate with? For instance, during the onboarding, is there an enablement team? Is there a product team that can help you create webinars or stuff like that? How is defined your segmentation if it has not been answered prior, and why? What tools do you have at your disposal? You can use CSM tools. Maybe you just have the data. Maybe you just have a CRM. Maybe you have a help center. Ask what is at your disposal, because believe me, it will be very helpful whenever you will need to get started. How clean is your data? So I put here best friend. Data is maybe the most important. You will always rely on data, especially for digital CSMs. Why? Because in order to prove your success, in order to address your customers, you will use the data. To prove that your strategy works, you will use the data. So look if it's clean and act on it. What is your budget? So basically, can you hire people? Can you buy additional tools? Can you do with only what you have on the table? Look for that. Who will be your internal sponsors? So I can tell you that maybe you have noticed that on LinkedIn, but we are not so many digital customer success manager or scale CSMs, as you want to call them. So it's very important that someone internally higher than you in terms of management helps you to endorse and evangelize your function. So ask who can help you and who can relay on your function internally. And finally, what KPIs do you have at your disposal? Or even better, what KPIs can you create? Let's do this. So experience sharing. So I've started at Talentsoft a year ago, actually a month ago. So a year and a month ago. And what I did when I started, so I had thousands of accounts to deal with. Some of them were based in France, some other internationally, sorry, with different advancement of maturity, different products. So it was like a lot of things to handle, and I was the only one back then. So the first things that I did is that I created a survey because we did not exactly know what were our priorities. So I created a survey to ask our customers, are you happy with our product? What would you like us to do? Like, do you want more webinars? Do you want more clients sharing experience? Like, I've asked a lot of questions. Like, actually, I've asked 4 questions, but I had a lot of answers. But you need to pay attention to that because I've sent out this survey to all my segmentation and I received a lot of answers. Unfortunately, because I was the only one and because I was planning the rest of my strategy, I did not plan the wave of answers that was coming back to me, and I was not able to digest and implement the changes that was requested. However, that's a nice way. It is a nice way to get started, create a survey, because my customer told me, we want more webinars. We want more customer success stories. So people were not looking for one-to-one exchange. They were looking for more content. And we worked on that. And now we are able to provide it to them. So I just asked to my customer, hey guys, what do you want? And the second thing, the project that I worked on was the onboarding for the digital audience. So we're going to speak about the onboarding now, but just so you know, I'm using the exact same process for any projects that I'm started. So first, I'm analyzing the field. So I went through every department that was taking care of onboarding for high-touch customers, and I was asking them, okay, guys, what do you do? How long does it take? Who's in charge? How do you follow that? Like every single question that I could wonder as a customer, I asked to the different departments. So after a few days, I was able to create a journey about the onboarding strategy for high-touch customer success, for high-touch customer success, for high-touch customers. Then I analyzed the gap. What was done for the high-touch strategy that could not work for the digital field. For instance, the CSM was calling the customer to let them know about the end of the process, the next step of the process. And it was also an opportunity for the CSM to create some contact with their customers. However, because I have a lot of customers to deal with, I could not do that. So it was a gap. I did not act on it so far, but I noted where could be the potential frictions. Then I identified the option short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Short-term, so what is available right now? So for me, it was email. Mid-term, it was webinars. So sending webinar links to new customers to let them know about the process. And long-term would be maybe something else that I did not find just yet. But we identified options that we could implement and submit to the board. Then we identified the KPIs. Okay, so we've identified the KPIs means we're going to create the onboarding strategy. Fair enough. but how are we going to know that it's working? How are we going to know that we reach the objective? So first, what do we want? What do we expect people to be or to learn from the onboarding? On my end, it was implementing the solution and being autonomous on the solution. So how can we create KPIs based on these two options? So implementing the solution, it was easy enough. I had to ask to my project management team to ask to tell me is the project well implemented. On the customer behalf, it was a bit different. Do you feel that the project is implemented? So based on that, we have two different opinions, and we can play on that. Then regarding the subscription, it was a bit different because we have a lot of enablement tool. So we define lagging and leading indicators. So lagging indicator was a sub KPIs that could help us to measure success. Did they subscribe to our community? Did they subscribe to our newsletter? And stuff like that. Lagging KPIs would be, after 6 months, do they feel they know everything about the product? Do they feel they are autonomous? And stuff like that. So we've identified KPIs that could enable us to tell straight to the point, okay, we know how to measure the success of the operation. And finally, we've implemented the process. And how did we implement the process? We've identified the data to follow. So what were the point in our journey that we could follow in the product with the internal people within the company, with the customers? How could we link that to our different tools, and how can we create tasks out of it? Like it takes some time. You need to think about these things. Like you have the answers. Okay, what are you going to do? Like, let's suppose that the customer tells me he's not autonomous on the solution, or he does not feel the solution is well implemented. What do we do with this answer? Who's taking care of that? How do we confirm that he's autonomous after action XYZ? Then we gathered the available content to educate our customer journey. So mainly it was asking people. We tracked the journey and must do internally in Salesforce. So we've created tasks and assigned them to people that could take the action. So for instance, when the person is not autonomous, we create a task. We tell the person in the task what to do, and eventually a playbook, like what should we do? What should we ask the person who takes the task to ask the customers? So I did not create the content then, but I coordinated the content creation. So we've hired a freelance to create the emailing strategy, and I've coordinated that. And finally, I launched the project. Then I measured the impact and the results. So who opened our email, who read the email, who clicked on the email. After that, who felt autonomous enough? How did our team internally feel? How our customer felt, and stuff like that. And it was very important in a way that it also enabled me to look for change management. Like, did people really do? Like, did the task were really, really ticked? Did people really do what we were asking them to do? And what I've done after, and what I'm still doing is adjust my program continuously. So there is still some stuff to adjust because customer gets back to us with some follow-up. So my job is basically to take this remark into account and translate them into my program. So after time, it can be perfect. If you need to leave only with 3 things out of these meetings, it will be: first, take a step back to identify real challenges. You know this if you're a CSM high touch, but you know that sometimes we tend to focus on one thing, a little thing that actually does not matter. It's just a dust in the entire project. It's challenging, it's annoying, but it's a dust. Focus on the big picture. What do you want to achieve? If you do not find a solution for your issue right now, check the short-term, mid-term, long-term solution. So always take a step back to put yourself in the customer's shoes and identify real challenges. Then don't implement anything if you cannot follow the wave. I want to remember my experience with the survey. If you send a survey, that's great. If you address your customers, that's great. But if you're not able to get back to them when they are kind enough to answer you, it's pointless. So think about that. And I will say that data is your best friend, but KPI is your shield, in a way that you will always need to rely on data to prove that you are doing your job right, or to find out whenever something needs to be adjusted. However, your management, or whenever you need to tell your management it doesn't work, they will ask you for KPIs. They may don't care about the tiny data that you can find. They want to have the big picture, step back to identify real challenges. So always define KPIs to tell on a macro level to your management or to your colleagues, it works, it doesn't work, why it doesn't work. And you will always have time to dig in later on and explain why it did not work. It's the end of my presentation. I remain at your disposal if you need anything. So on my LinkedIn, Elisabeth Courland, on my website, elisabethcourland.com, and feel free to contact me. I hope you enjoy this presentation and take care.